Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about what you should know before making that move out of Nigeria. So this applies to Canada because I live in Canada, or those who want to relocate to the UK, Australia, the United States, or anywhere in the world. Okay, so I've been in Canada for almost 5 years now. Yeah, but I came in as a student, so these days most people come in through the permanent residence program, but really it applies to anybody. You're moving out of Nigeria to another country. So it's just a few tips based on my experience and experience of some others around me. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is you need to do your research. Research is very, very important, and when I say research, the process of applying for whatever application you're coming in through. So I know that people mainly come in as skilled workers through the permanent residence program. So you apply through express entry, and when you if your score is part of those who fall within the range, then you are invited to apply for the permanent residence, and then you're given the permanent residence. Okay, so for most times, for most people who have lived all of their lives in Nigeria, and when I'm talking about all of that, I'm talking about 20 something, 30 something, or 40 something years. You've been in Nigeria for that long. Moving out of that country to another country, trust me, is difficult because it's a completely different ball game. North America is completely different from even the United Kingdom. It's completely different. So you need to do your research in terms of where do you want to live. Since I'm in Canada, I'm talking about Canada. We have different provinces here. We have different provinces with different time zones. I think there are about 3 or 4 time zones in Canada alone. So where do you want to move to in Canada? Do you want to move to Ontario, British Columbia, Nova Scotia, Manitoba? We've got several provinces. So where do you want to move to? Why do you want to move there? Is the weather, do you prefer the weather in British Columbia over Ontario? Or is it because there are more jobs in this province over the other, Or do you have family? Do you want to stay close to where your family is? Maybe you've got family, you've got an uncle, or you even have a brother or sister in Ontario, so you want to be closer to your family. Is that the reason why you want to move? These are the reasons why you should perform this research, and you have to have, and you need to make an informed decision before you move, make that move to the country, because that move is going to determine to a very large extent how your settling into Canada is going to be. So you need to make that research. And if you've got kids, what area do you want them to be in? Because schools differ. There are good schools, there are okay schools, and there are bad schools. But I think there are more of okay schools than bad schools. Let me be honest with you, at least based on what I know. I don't have a child of school age yet, but just based on what I know there are really good schools, and the really good schools are in expensive areas, and we have okay schools in general. So you want to do your research as well in terms of where you want to live, where you want to settle, job opportunities, you know what I mean? So yeah, research is very, very important right from the beginning. Applying for the permanent residence up until when you get it, up until when you settle. It's very, very important for you to perform that research. No one can really perform that research for you like you will. So you need to get yourself up to be able to do that on your own. Now, in terms of my second point, in terms of networking is very, very important. It's important because you're moving out of Nigeria into a new place, so you don't know as many people. So the few people you get to know or you get to meet could help you in getting good jobs, or could actually destroy your life here in Canada. So networking is very important. What kind of people are you rolling with, or what kind of people are you mixing? What kind of people are you meeting with? Are you going to church? If you're a Christian, are you a Muslim? Do you go to the mosque? Or are you? There are newcomer centers in Canada. Are you going there to meet with those people who help you to maybe prepare your resume, or help you to link you up with someone who's going to help you with getting an accommodation? Who are the people you're meeting with? It's very important to network with people. So my advice generally is, before leaving Nigeria in the first place, just do your research. Look at how those who live in North America, look at how their resumes are on LinkedIn, and try to prepare your LinkedIn in that manner even before you come to Canada, because it's kind of different. North American resume is different from even the European resume. So you want to look at that and try to make your resume look that way. And when you are finally in Canada, try to look for volunteering opportunities. You could volunteer in your church. It doesn't even have to be like maybe the Red Cross or something very NGO-ish. It could be in your church. You could be a worker in your church. You can always put that in your resume. But volunteering is very, very important for those who are newcomers in Canada, because once they take a look at your resume, they know that, okay, this person doesn't have Canadian work experience. And that's usually the main reason why they don't want to employ people, which to me doesn't really make any sense, because there's no knowledge that is lost and there's no experience that is wasted. It's just a different environment, a different setting. But anyway, that's just how it is. So yeah, you want to go into volunteering, so you can always put that on your resume. And for newcomers in Canada, there's a website called careeredge.ca. You can take a look at that. It's usually, they provide internships for newcomers, people who are new in Canada that are trying to merge into the job market here. So take a look at that. And also, depending on your profession, if you're a doctor or a pharmacist or lawyer, you know that those are heavily regulated bodies who you might have to write a couple of exams, to get the license to practice. So you want to do your research, of course, in that line and find out if that's what you really want to do here, because it requires a lot of commitments and it's time consuming. But of course, in the end, all of these things are for a worthy cause and for the cash. So yes, you want to make sure you do your research and find out. There are people who do a lot of tutoring for excuse me, for example, I know for pharmacists, there are people, there's some, I can't remember his name right now, but there are people who do tutoring for group classes to help people write those exams, because they could be very time consuming. And if you are in the business stream or IT, there are associations, there are even WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups. Like, there are so many resources. It's just for you to ask, really. You just need to ask about these things. Don't keep quiet. You need to know who to ask, when to ask, and definitely all these things will be presented. Okay, so my third point is be open-minded. You're leaving Nigeria to another country. Be open-minded. As in, I can't even exhaust all the options, all the points in this point I'm making. I can't exhaust it, because there are so many reasons why people are not open-minded. You grew up in Nigeria, yes, and you're moving to another man's land. It's different. And for one thing, North America is completely different. In fact, the first culture shock you will receive, depending on the time of the year you move to Canada, for example, maybe those who move towards the fall or the winter, is the weather. The weather will first throw you, like it will turn you upside down, because Nigeria, what do we have in Nigeria? Is it dry and wet season? That's it now. And it's always hot all year round. But here, the winter is brutal. And when I say it's brutal, it is brutal. And I'm in Ontario. There are people who live in other provinces that even experience it worse than we do. Yeah, so you need to be open-minded, because you're moving out of your country to another man's land. So you need to, have that mindset that, okay, I'm doing this. I've made this decision. So, let whatever experiences that happen to me, which might be pleasant and unpleasant, or unpleasant, let me embrace them, try to embrace them, because you need that. You need to encourage yourself. Yeah, it's really very important. Another thing that you need to be open-minded about is food. Thank God that in this day and age, we have African stores springing here and there. Depending on where you are, though, if you are closer to the metropolitan cities, then yeah, you probably have a couple of African stores. So yeah, you need to be open-minded, because even with that, the food still tastes different. I remember when we just moved here, I didn't even know about the African store where I was then till about a couple of months after. So we weren't even able to eat, have that African taste, which I wasn't really bothered about. But at some point I started missing, those tastes. So you don't taste the original localness of the kinds of food you eat. So you need to be open-minded about, eating other kinds of foods here, and knowing that Canada is a very multicultural place. There are several kinds of foods, like so many kinds of foods. So it would be nice if you are open-minded about trying other kinds of foods. If you have kids as well, it helps them to mingle with other kids in school as well, once they're open-minded about things like food, culture, so yeah, so it's very, very important. And of course, living conditions. So when you move to Canada, sometimes you might not really get the kind of accommodation you want, based on several factors. Sometimes it might be because you are living close to metropolitan cities. Because okay, so I'll just go straight to it. I live in Ontario and I stay in the GTA, a place called GTA is the Greater Toronto Area, and I stay in Milton. So if you are in or around the GTA, the chances that your accommodation will be expensive is, well, yeah, very very high. So the further away you are from Toronto, the less expensive. So yeah, but why most people want to move obviously closer to Toronto is for so many reasons. First of all, jobs, the availability of jobs, and of course proximity to so many things. Like the closer you are to Toronto, the more lively it is. Definitely, in terms of grocery stores, places to have fun, jobs. So yeah, that's why most people always want to be close to the Toronto, to the Toronto city itself. But of course, if you are okay commuting, some people don't mind commuting, so they stay further away. Or if they are fortunate to get jobs, in that fast city wherever they are, then it just works out for them, because accommodation is one thing that could be on a very high side depending on where it is you're living. So be very open-minded to the kind of accommodation you may get. In general, there are condo apartments for rent, townhouses. Then you have, if you're talking about getting a house, we have semi-detached houses or single standing. I don't know if I'm using the right terms, but yeah, you get what I mean, like single, a whole house on its own. So most people who own single houses tend to rent their basements, and there are legal and illegal basements. So you should always find out if your basement is a legal basement, because if it's illegal, they shouldn't be renting it out for people to live in. Okay, so yeah, I kind of covered a broad description of some of the points. I wrote this in blog style on my website. That's lakbeslifestyle.com. If you want to take a read, I went into more detail there, but this is just giving you a summary of what you should expect before making that move, because most people feel like, oh yeah, it's a better life. Of course it could be a better life, but if you do not prepare adequately, there could be some major setbacks, or in general it might have been a wrong move all in all, and you don't want that to be the situation for you. That is why a couple of people like me and some others are trying to put this information out there to make it easier for people, because most people feel like Africans don't like to share information, unlike other cultures like Indians or even Chinese people who are ready to always help each other. But our generation, we're trying to change that narrative. We're trying to make it different for people who are trying to make that move. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or if you think there's anything I missed. For those who have been in Canada for so long, please also drop it in the comments as well. As always, I remain my humble self, Lakbe Adebajo. See you in my next video.